last night. I ended up spending the night in Sweetwater, Texas, not making it all the way to Abilene. First time I had to run my fan last night. I had to run the AC, but I did run the fan to stay cool. The temperature did not fall below 70 degrees. However, today it is cooler than yesterday. It's overcast. It's 78 degrees currently. It's almost 11 a.m. I don't think it's going to be very hot today. I ended up starting out a little bit late because for some reason the atmosphere is just dark in this area. It seemed like it was a lot earlier than it really was when I woke up. I kind of suspect that, there are some volcanoes in Mexico that are active right now. I kind of suspect that some of the dust wind must be in the atmosphere, make it dark like this. That leads me to what I want to talk about now. The effect of volcanic eruptions on climate. Volcanic eruptions do impact climate, and there's record of it. In 1980, for example, Mount St. Helens erupted, putting lots of dust and ash into the atmosphere, blocking out the sunlight. We know that 1980 was a very hot summer in the USA. The effects of that eruption didn't really come into play until 1981. The summer of 1981 was much cooler than 1980, despite the solar max we were having. Winter of 81 to 82. Winter of 1980 to 81 was one of the coldest Christmases on record for the East Coast. The fall that year was very chilly. In Vermont, that fall in Burke Mountain had snow in September on the summit, late September. That was after the hot summer that year. I suspect that it was Mount St. Helens that began to cool the climate later on that year after the eruption, May of 1980. The impacts began to be felt from that eruption that winter. It turned out to be very cold in the eastern U.S., especially in January. However, it was battling against a very high solar activity, so the spring came very early that year. Kind of waffled back and forth. But 1981 and 1982, things did cool down a bit, and I believe it was a result of that eruption. 1983, the effects of that eruption wore off, and 1983 was a very warm year. Then we went into a bit of a solar minimum, not much, but enough to where 1984, 85, that winter got very cold for a period of time, as well as but also we have to remember that in 1982, that volcano in Mexico erupted, El Chichon, I think it was, after Mount St. Helens, so that kind of amplified the effects of Mount St. Helens and continued the impacts. It continued tempering the effects of that 1980 solar max were tempered by two volcanic eruptions that occurred shortly after that. 1980 was a very high solar max. 1980 was a very hot summer, and very likely the successive summers would have been just as hot, or even hotter perhaps. The reason why they weren't was because Mount St. Helens erupted in 1980 May. It was too late to have an impact on the 1980 summer, but it did have an impact on the following summer of 1981. Much cooler than 1980. 1982, the effects continued to linger. But then that's the year that El Chichon in Mexico erupted. So in 1983, where the effects of Mount St. Helens would have worn off by then, then we had El Chichon starting to impact things. Mexico, that volcano, in 1983. So even though 1983 was warm, because we were having still at solar max 1980, and El Chichon began to temper the effects of that as well. And in 1984, things actually got chilly for a while. And then we hit the solar minimum on the 11-year cycle after that, so things continued in 1985, 86 into 86. 86 was also chilly. But then when the next solar max would hit, there were no volcanic eruptions to temper this one. So 1988, as I said yesterday in my video, was a very, very hot summer. 1988-89 winter was very warm. Not much in the way of snow anywhere that winter. 1989-90 winter was similar. I was living in New Hampshire. We hardly any snow those winters. You couldn't get a nor'easter those 2 years if you tried. It seemed like nor'easters had gone the way of the dinosaur during those winters. We just simply did not get any. Living in New Hampshire, most of the storms that moved through were not even all snow events. They were either rain or a mixture of snow and rain, and a lot of ice those winters. Winter of 1990 to 91 was also very, very warm overall. That was the year winter I was in Long Island after I left New Hampshire, going to North Carolina. That winter was November. It stayed so warm that even in New Hampshire in 1990 that it stayed in the 60s, even in New Hampshire, into the end of November, day after day that year, 1990. Finally, winter came in the middle of December, and it only lasted till Middle of January, that was it. It was over. That was in Long Island. We did get some snow there, but not much. A few times it snowed. And then come the end of January, that was it. Spring started to come very, very early in 1991. Moved to North Carolina, and the trees were already getting leaves the first week of April. We were already leafed out. Spring came so early that year. But then in 1991, Pinatubo erupted in the Philippines. So that tempered the effects of a little bit of the 1989-1990 solar max that we had that was causing all that warm weather. Because in 1992,